Where the Trail Ends is a feature documentary following some of the best mountain bikers on the planet as they scour the globe looking for their ultimate proving ground or a location that's never been ridden.
I wanted to show the landscapes and the textures and the colors, and also incorporate the documentary style where you're traveling with these guys. The filming is a little bit shakier off because of the situations, and it kind of brings you a little more closer to these characters. We wanted you to feel like you were coming with us.
When we first started this idea for this film, it was similar to what we came out with at the end, but so much happened along the way, and we just had to be ready for that. For Utah, we kind of scouted around and tried to find new locations in Utah. What ended up happening is we found this zone that we thought no one had ridden or we weren't really sure, and then all of a sudden looked around and started finding jumps that Borden had built for NWD3 and stuff like that. We thought the story was supposed to be that we were going to go to Utah and find new zones in Utah, and the story ended up being there aren't any, and if they are there, we didn't find them. One of the biggest things we learned through all this is just working with the locals. And we had some incredible guides and local people showing us around. There were people that basically gave us the keys to their backyards, and without their guidance, we would have been lost. For me, it was really important to show these guys as human beings and relatable people. A lot of films you've seen like this in the past, these guys are mountaineers, they do this all the time, they're hard as hell, and they live in tents every day. And these guys, some of them hadn't even slept in tents away from a car before. So to show that and not pretend these guys do this all the time was super important.
This keeps the rain out, by the way, in case you're a rookie. Home sweet home.
We decided we were going to do some underwater shots with the jet boat and in the river. I was floating actually way faster than any of us thought. So I was moving downstream super quick and having a jet boat flying at me and knowing there's 20-foot sturgeons in there and huge currents, and basically they had to come and rescue me before I went around this huge rapid.
One of our biggest challenges was making each of these landscapes seem unique. They were, but just with visuals, they could all look like Utah. So it was super important for us to use sound and color and everything we could to make each of these locations feel completely unique to each other. Locations like Nepal, sound was everything to bring it to life, whether it was just hearing how heavily the guys were breathing up those lines or the mules that are passing them on the trail. We wanted to push the riders so hard into these new locations. So for us to document this, our entire crew had to suffer right along with the riders.
We were in the Gobi Desert and it was 45 degrees. One of our cameramen, Dustin, his Red camera, we actually melted the sensor on the Red camera in the desert, and Red Cine actually said that that's the first time they've ever seen it. In Nepal, we had to go, I believe it was 20 miles, and it took us 12 hours to hike. One of the guys lays down on the trail. He's got altitude sickness. It looks like he's dying. And he looks me straight in the face and he says, "I would quit right now if I could, but there's no way out." Yeah, there was definitely no lattes out there. So common, you'd just be hanging out by yourself, and then all of a sudden you just hear this laughing and chirping of all these kids, and then all of a sudden they would be surrounding you. It was just really, really neat to see how people reacted to us.
Content management alone, having 3 or 4 cameras plus all the contour footage out there, and then bringing it back every night and having to dump all that footage to hard drive.
We were running all our power from generators.
And it would sputter out of gas and hard drives would crash and batteries wouldn't charge. We made it back every time with all the footage there, and I don't know how that happened.
Jared, what's in your lap?
everything.
What is it?
2 terabytes of all the footage we have from the last 3 weeks, traveling like this the whole way. For the film, we shot 30 terabytes of footage, which is 30,000 gigs. So it's a huge amount. So just sifting through that footage was like reliving every day 4 times by each cameraman.
There you go. Mucho sketchy.
There's so much amazing stuff on the editing room floor right now, but we had to pick the best stuff that told our story. But thank God there's a TV show to put the rest of it in.
Ah, look at your face! Oh my God, did anybody see this guy's face? It looks like an idiot!
Yeah, in the Utah segment, when we went back to Utah, it definitely had a different feel. There was a little more emotion involved, and there was a lot of pressure to step up the game with the riding.
I think all you can really tell the athletes is, listen, you take your riding to where you want to go, and our cameras will be on for that. When Darren tried the front flip and didn't get it, we were just like, oh, that's it. That doesn't exist. We're not going to use it in the film. And then to rethink it and go, wait a second, this is very real. This is the most vulnerable you'll see Claw in the film. We should use this. That was a big decision and a big step, I think, for the film, just to be able to show people honestly what happens out there.
It's one of my favorite segments in the movie because people don't get to see that side of these guys. They never see the failures or the emotion. It's always just the high fives and the glory. We really wanted to take a Cineflex to the Gobi Desert just to really show off the landscapes and kind of bring it to perspective.
And we started to look into permits and everything. It wasn't that you couldn't get a helicopter, but it was next to impossible to do it. And there's also an issue of the Cineflex. Legally, you can't bring it into China due to something to do with some of the technologies and the relationship between China and the US. So we had the final scene of our film where we couldn't use one of our best toys. So we did a lot of homework and found out that you could get RC helis there.
The RC heli would have to be beside the jump for it to be the perfect shot. We couldn't just fly 2,000 feet to the top of the mountain and be like, okay, now follow him down. We tried it, and we were all standing there like, oh my God, this isn't gonna work. And once we grasped the fact that we had to be right in the action rather than away from it and coming into the action, then we really started to get it.
We got shots with the RC heli that we could have never got with the Cineflex, how close we could get in the shoots and following right with the guys. It was a pretty incredible tool to use and really brought the place to life.
You know, it was a constant team effort from the crew to the athletes, and I think it really shows in the film that these guys are more than just superstar athletes. These are real people, and it took a lot of commitment from everybody to get this point across.